AWS is the world's most comprehensive and broadly adopted cloud platform. Millions of customers trust AWS to power their infrastructure and applications. Organizations of every type and size are using AWS to lower costs, become more agile, and innovate faster. AWS provides on-demand delivery of technology services via the internet with pay-as-you-go pricing. You can use these services to build and run virtually any type of application without upfront costs or ongoing commitments. You only pay for what you use. AWS gives you more services and more features within those services than any other cloud provider. This makes it faster, easier, and more cost-effective to move your existing applications to the cloud and to build anything you can imagine. From infrastructure technologies like compute, storage, and databases, to emerging technologies such as machine learning and artificial intelligence, data lakes and analytics, and Internet of Things. Building on AWS means you can choose the right tool for the job. For example, AWS offers the widest variety of databases that are purpose-built for different types of applications. With AWS, you can leverage the latest technologies to experiment and innovate more quickly. We are continually accelerating our pace of innovation to invent entirely new technologies you can use to transform your business. Like pioneering the serverless computing space with the launch of AWS Lambda, which lets developers run their code without provisioning or managing servers. And AWS built Amazon SageMaker, a fully managed machine learning service that empowers everyday developers and scientists to use machine learning without any previous experience. We are constantly expanding our global network of AWS regions, so you can access AWS services to build and run your applications from anywhere in the world. Each of these regions has multiple availability zones that are physically separated from each other and connected by low latency, high throughput, and highly redundant networking. This makes it easy to design and operate applications that are scalable, fault-tolerant, and highly available. Our infrastructure is built to satisfy the security standards of the most risk-sensitive organizations. You also have access to the AWS Partner Network, which has thousands of systems integrators who specialize in AWS services, and tens of thousands of independent software vendors who adapt their technology to work on AWS. With the largest community of customers across every industry, AWS has unmatched experience and operational expertise you can depend upon for your most important applications in every imaginable use case.
The power of the AWS cloud is within your grasp.
That's why we have chosen the AWS Essentials trainings to bring everyone on the same level of knowledge. So when you're talking about cloud, everyone has a basic understanding what is meant.
Whether you are just starting out or looking for ways to scale and speed up your success, you have a need for cloud skills. AWS Training and Certification has solutions for AWS customers and AWS partners, as well as the next generation of builders and leaders. Developed by the experts at AWS, our training resources help you advance in your career, building cloud skills on your team to innovate and achieve business goals.
We made sure to provide all types of training because, as you know, not all adult learners learn the same way. Some learners prefer instructor-led training, while others prefer self-paced.
No matter your role, we can help you gain in-demand cloud skills, both introductory and advanced, and validate your expertise with an AWS certification.
Preparing for the exam really reminded me the fun and enjoyment there is when it comes to education and self-learning.
Whether you're developing a new application or growing a business, AWS Training and Certification helps the builders of today and tomorrow leverage the power of the AWS cloud.
Welcome to another episode of the Community Ignite series, Innovating on the Cloud, Building with AWS. So first is Mosfel, or Mo for short. She is the Marketing and Partnerships of Apper.ph.
Apper is actually an advanced tier consulting partner for AWS, as well as a recognized public sector partner.
Wesley now is a Cloud Architect and Solutions Architect at Apper.ph.
Tell you more about the services types of cloud computing. IaaS, platform as a service. Software as a service, the application and integration services, function as a service.
As a solutions architect, you really need to know all the service types.
As an SA, you actually have to know most of the services. So as an SA, you have to know how to build the services that you have designed. So most of the time, I actually implement on the security side or the AWS organization or SSO side to the client and implement it on their AWS setup.
So this Community Ignite series is co-presented by AWS and AWS Ciclab Pilipinas.
Hello everyone, welcome again to another Community Ignite series. I'm Rafi Kisumbing, also known as Young CTO. Our special guests, wearing multiple hats.
Hello everyone, so ako si Alvin. I'm a senior solutions architect. I specialize on software development and I've been using AWS since 2008. I started off defining my infrastructure using CloudFormation, but since AWS CDK came to be, ito na yung kadalasan na ginagamit ko. No? Now, as you can see, there's actually a shift from writing YAML and JSON code to define your infrastructure to using an object-oriented programming language. And at the same time, you can actually deploy your infrastructure right alongside your code. So just imagine, diba, the speed and the agility.
I'd like to thank our co-presenter, AWS and AWS Ciclab Pilipinas.
I find the certification highly useful in terms of getting you into the space you want to be in a very short period of time.
Certification gives you the proof that you need to showcase that you have the skills required for a specific market.
It's a goal that you can pursue, so you're not just learning for the fun of, well, I want to learn everything.
It's allowed us to expand some roles of team members. For example, we had a project manager before who was typically managing IT projects. He's now certified and he's pivoted into cloud architecture.
I think that when people are working with certified professional, they will feel more confident about the work that we are doing together.
A lot of my clients are cloud native. Studying for the Solutions Architect test gave me a broad view of the services AWS provides, so I could understand better how they control and manage data.
Technology is moving so fast, and each day we have different things happening.
Continually evolving is the only way you stay fresh in IT.
And then now you can validate it. Yes, I actually know, and I have retained this knowledge.
To me, it means that you've taken the time and you've dedicated that time to furthering yourself.
It's really great. It's a good feeling.
All right. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the 16th episode of the Community Ignite series, AWS Certification Tips and Tricks. I am your host, Laura David, a Technical Community Manager of Edukasyon.ph. So, kumusta naman kayo? If you're a student, please let me know what university you're from, or pag professional naman, type your career in the chat box. Ayan. So, ang dami ng kanina good evening. Ayan, good evening sa inyo pong lahat. Hello. Ayan. So, let me know if anong university kayo galing or anong job nyo ngayon. So I am honestly so excited, and I hope you guys are as well, kasi this episode is about AWS certifications, tips and tricks. And napaka-importante ng magkaroon tayo ng certifications as developers. Kasi not only because makaka-gain ka ng knowledge and skills, but also because doon natin mapapakita na we're credible, dedicated, and competent. So it shows that we have invested time and money into improving our skill set with a certain field. So yun yung pag-uusapan natin today, all about certifications of AWS and along with its tips and tricks. So yan, tignan natin. We have a first year BSCS ng Pangasinan State University. We have students from Rizal Technological University. We have an IT specialist and developer. Hello po. We also have Nico from Jose Rizal University. We have Cavite State University. Ang dami. Ayan, pumunta sa PLM. Alright, we have a full stack developer. Ayan. Hello, Ellie. Ayan, from University of Ontario. Okay. Ayan. So, thank you so much for introducing yourself. So, before we continue, ano nga ba ang Community Ignite series? So, these are Thursdays short episodes where we bring people, product, and purpose together. So, you as a young IT professional or early in your career or, just a young at heart or starting in the tech industry, you will definitely benefit from this series, especially that the whole series is co-presented by drum roll. Ayan. So this series is co-presented by Amazon Web Services and AWS Club Pilipinas. Ayan. So in the previous talk, the topic was all about building your first serverless application. So you can check all about it on our social media accounts. So make sure to follow our Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and LinkedIn to stay updated. So search nyo lang AWS Club Pilipinas or you can scan the QR code flashed on the screen. Ayan. So scan nyo lang QR code and you'll find us there. Alright. Ayan. So habang nag-iintay sa pag-follow nyo sa ating social media accounts, pakilalanin na natin yung first speaker. Actually, our only speaker for tonight. So our speaker for tonight is well experienced on designing and implementing solutions to challenging engineering problems. Wow. So he started his career as a software engineer from startups to enterprise companies, which allowed him to work in all aspects of software development and system administration. So he is now working as a solutions architect at AWS. So let's all give a warm welcome to Mr. Alvin Delagon. And hi, Sir Alvin.
Hello, everyone. So, how's my voice? Can anyone hear me properly?
Very clear naman po, Sir Alvin. How are you tonight? How are you feeling po?
Okay naman. So actually, I'm quite happy, kasi finally I got my whole family fully vaccinated just today. So hopefully this pandemic will soon be over.
And sobrang nakakatuwa din na hindi na natin kailangan ng face shield. Pero syempre, use a lot of protection for like alcohol and face mask and social distancing. Ayan. So thank you, Sir Alvin. You may now start your talk.
Yeah, so let me just share my screen, no? All right. So can you see my screen?
Yes, po.
All right, so everyone, so thank you very much for having me, no? So although just one quick disclaimer lang, so although this is going to be co-presented by AWS, and I also come from AWS, so I work with them, but this time I'm going to take off my AWS hat and speak to you as a personal person. So hindi ako imagine lang hindi ako taga Amazon, okay? So but yeah, so just a little bit of a background about me. So my name is Alvin Delagon, and I'm a solutions architect working for Amazon Web Services. And my title is also as a part developer specialist. So for any customers that need some help in terms of how to develop cloud native applications, so that's actually where I come in, and that's where I specialize. Okay, so for our talk for today, so I'll be giving you some of the AWS tips and tricks that I learned over the years. So, and hopefully this thing would probably going to help you out once you go head over and take your own certifications. Okay, so definitely this is not something that I will give you some tips about kung ano yung sagot sa tanong na to. Kasi this thing is going to take that thing is going to take a lot of time, but I'm probably going to share all of the things or all of the techniques that I've come up with over the 7 certifications that I got for the past 2 years. All right. Okay? So later on, kung may questions tayo, no, so okay yung mag-alala. I'll be asking some questions. And also, I will also ask some questions from the audience. So feel free to unmute yourselves na lang mamaya. Okay? And actually, I'm happy to know that we also have some people from PLM. So I'm also come from Pamantasan, batch 2005. So hello, schoolmates. Oh, nice. Okay, so let's start off. No, so usually, whenever I explain certifications or even exams not to my customers or even my kids, no, so whenever we study for the exam, I always tell them that okay, you have to take it as if it's a game, okay, and the final exam is the boss battle, right? So that's why before you head over to fight the boss, you have to find ways, the weakness, ano yung mga techniques para ma-defeat mo yung boss na yun, no? So that theme is something that we're going to tackle today, okay? So, but before that, so let me show you lang muna kung ano ba yung pathway ng certifications, no? So actually, there's actually a lot of certifications sa AWS kasi just like doon sa mundo ng IT, so IT is actually quite broad subject, right? So, and even to the point that para tayong medicine meron tayong kanya-kanyang specialty, di ba? So, if you're planning to get your certification, usually kung for starters, you start off with the cloud practitioner. Okay, so the one that you're seeing here. So yung cloud practitioner is pretty much tests whether if you understand the concepts of the cloud in general, right? So not that too hard, but it's actually a good kind of a validation, especially for non-technical people. Kasi we even have some non-technical people who took these exams. Okay, so para at least maintindihan nila what is the concept of the cloud and what cloud brings to the table, no? So I've seen a lot of account managers, project managers, not on non-technical roles. They even took these certifications, no? And now after that, so we have three associate certifications. One is the Solutions Architect Associate. So what happens there is actually where it's going to test whether you should be able to create solutions using the correct Lego blocks or the correct AWS services for you to solve a problem, right? So kaya kadalasan ang Solutions Architect Associate is actually kind of a broad examination. So it's going to tackle a lot of AWS services. But even though broad siya, it's not as deep as compared to the next level of exams, right? So another one would be another two certifications would be the Developer Associate and the SysOps Administrator Associate, right? So the only difference between the Solutions Architect Associate is that kung ang career, if you're taking on a career as a developer, definitely I would recommend to take the Developer Associate. Okay, so this is actually where we're going to validate whether as a software developer, will you be able to maximize the capabilities of the cloud? So dito pasok yung mga questions about AWS Lambda, dito pasok about yung mga questions about serverless, containers, and also some dev tools for CI/CD, right? So if you're on a track of becoming a DevOps engineer or someone who actually manages systems, so you may also opt to take the SysOps Administrator. Okay, so this is actually more on validating whether will you be able to operate your proper infrastructure on the cloud. Okay, so these are actually the three associates, and then after that, so if you want to further level up your validation and show to everyone that you're actually have a working experience or working capability with cloud, then you have to move on to the professional certifications, no? So we have the Solutions Architect Professional Certification. So this is actually the next level for the Solutions Architect Associate. And personally, I have to say, this is actually the hardest certification that you have to take, right? So kaya kadalasan, kung sino man yung nakaka-achieve ng Solutions Architect Professional certifications are highly valued in the job market. Okay? So you might also ask me why. Bakit ito yung pinakamahirap? But it's just for me, it's just my own personal opinion, no? Kasi as compared to developer and sysops, wherein hindi siya ganoon ka-wide pero may konti ka-deep siya. Ang solutions architect professional is actually both broad and at the same time deep. Okay? So the amount of preparation that you have to do to be able to achieve solutions architect professional certification is going to take a lot of time for you. Okay? It's not just for study, but also we highly recommend that dapat meron ka ng working experience working with AWS before you take this certification. Okay? So I myself, I've been using AWS since 2009. So at tagal ko na ginagamit yung AWS. But when I took Solutions Architect Professional, even I nahirapan din ako din dito. Okay? So, but what I'm saying, this is not impossible. This is something that's actually doable. And I'm trying to share to you the things that I did to be able to pass this in just one try. Okay? Another level naman would be yung DevOps Engineer Professional. So if you passed either the Developer Associate or the SysOps Administrator Associate, so then that's the time that you can take the DevOps Engineer Professional. Okay, so this is actually where the combination of both development and operation skill set is going to be validated from you. Okay, so nowadays, diba, dati for the students here in the call, dati there's a clear separation between the developers and the operations or the system, or some people call them system administrators, no? But with the advent of the internet and internet scale, now both developer and operations are now becoming more and more closer to each other, to the point that there's a complete role called DevOps, which is actually, it can actually function as both. So both as a developer and also at the same time being able to deploy your application and operate them in the cloud. Okay, so that's why either passing developer associate or the SysOps administrator would unlock the DevOps Engineer Professional certification for you. All right. Now, on top of this general certification, so we also have specialty. Okay, so although medyo updated na to, so we have certifications such as security specialty. So let's say, for example, if you plan sa career mo to become a security specialist, right? So if you want to separate yourself amongst the others to show that, okay, I have the capability to make sure that your workloads on the cloud is secure, then one thing for me to validate that is I pass the security specialty. All right. We also have data analytics. We also have machine learning specialties. All right. Now, you might also notice that you can take the specialty if you just pass the cloud practitioner. All right. So it doesn't require you to pass the associate or the professional before you take the specialty. Okay, so that a minimum, dapat napasa mo na yung cloud practitioner and then you can decide to move on to specialty already. But that doesn't mean that the specialty is easy, right? So ang pinagkaiba ng specialty is that as compared to solutions architect certification, wherein the topic is broad, dito naman, ang topic ng specialty is very narrow, very focused. Okay, so let's say, for example, if you're taking the security specialty, definitely the questions will be more around application security, infrastructure security, etc. All right, so it's narrow but very deep. Okay, so let's say, for example, kung security expert ka na, then this is something that will give you more chances to pass the security specialty. All right, so especially kung lalo na pag on the latter stages of your career, you want to specialize on something. And you want to show your recruiters that you have a validation for that. So that's where the specialties come in. All right. Now, so there's actually a lot of specialty certifications. So we have big data dating tawag dito, but this is called data analytics specialty nowadays. There's also networking specialty. So for people that are specializes on creating networks, network topologies. There's also security specialty, even Alexa Skill Builder, a specialty. And I think 2 years ago, we just launched the AWS Certified Database Specialty, because we've seen that a lot of people are wants to validate how good they are in terms of deciding what's the proper data store for a given application workload, right? So ang questions dito really revolves around purpose-built databases and also how to use them efficiently. Okay. Now, ano yung benefit of getting a certification? No? So there's actually a lot. One is definitely giving you a validation. All right. So especially if you're a student, right? So if you're a student, medyo mahirap makakuha ng trabaho kasi wala ka pang experience, right? So, but at least if you're a student, if you pass the cloud practitioner or at least even the solutions architect associate, that's going to give you an edge from the recruiters already. Okay, so because that's actually validates that you have an understanding with the cloud technology, which is actually has become a norm already for the past 3 to 5 years, right? So more and more workloads are moving into the cloud and less from on-premise, right? So that's going to give you an edge. For existing IT professionals, this is going to give you some validation of your work experience. Kasi sometimes, even though, let's say for example, if your resume says that you've achieved doing these projects, di ba? So, but sa mata ng mga recruiters, a question din dyan is that ano ba yung involvement mo sa project na yun? Maybe you're just maybe you were just there for a few months, then suddenly just tayo mo sa resume mo na I was involved there. Okay? But one way to further reinforce your work experience is also to validate that with certifications. Okay? And since mag-aaral ka lang din naman, di ba? So might as well get something out of it. So that's this is actually my motivation. So I've been trying to get my head around machine learning. So while I was studying machine learning and practicing on my own, so I just decided, okay, might as well take the machine learning specialty, but at least I will get something about this effort that I've done, right? And on top of that, so there's actually some rewards that you get when you pass the certification. So definitely you will get the AWS certified logo usage. So usually ito nakikita sa LinkedIn, di ba? So sa mga pumapasa, they upload their badges on Credly, and then you can share that on LinkedIn. So that's pretty much a third party provider that validates the authenticity of your certification. Another one is that you will be able to unlock access to the AWS certified store. So if you want to get t-shirts or jackets, then it's up to you if you want to get it. Pag mas mabasa ka naman din, may free practice exams that will unlock to you. So let's say for example, kung if you're going to take the next certification, so there's going to be a free practice exam for you that's going to be unlocked. And I think nowadays, kung pumasa ka, automatic you will get a voucher that will reduce your next certification by 50%. All right. So, and also we also work with local companies here in the Philippines to provide discounts to your companies para yung mga kumpanya, yung mga empleyado nila, maengganyo silang i-certify yung mga employees nila. Okay. So that's actually what we do over here. All right. So that's the high level for what AWS certifications are. So hopefully sana meron kang konting background about what would be your pathway to choose on taking an AWS certification. Now, I'm just going to share everything that I've learned after taking these certifications, no? But just one quick caution, no? So the tips and tricks, strategies, and suggestions that I'm going to state here doesn't guarantee you passing the certification exam. All right. So the content here was developed from my own personal experience and not by Amazon Web Services. So this is actually something that I'm going to do. I'm going to take off my hat of being an Amazonian employee and talk to you in terms of a normal person who just went through the certification. Okay. So and just also a little bit of background. So these techniques that I've developed over the years allowed me to pass 7 certifications already. So I got all of the associates, the professional, and three specialties. So I myself, I specialize on software development and security. So actually, one of the first specialties that I took is a security specialty. And then one of the reasons why I took machine learning specialty because I've been studying machine learning using my free time and just decided, okay, so since nag-aaralan ko naman yung machine learning, so mag-certify na rin ako at the same time para may reward naman ako dito. And then, I also took the data analytics specialty kasi dito sa Pilipinas, medyo dumadami na yung mga companies that needs help in terms of setting up their data analytics systems on the cloud. So, one thing for me to validate my skill set around this area is that's why I took this specialty exam. Okay, so after this 7 exams, I will just share to you the things that I've learned over the years. So, but ang gagawin ko para maintindihan natin lahat. So, just like what I said, for both of my kids and also for my customers undergoing certification, the number one thing that you really have to master whenever you're taking a certification exam, actually not just for AWS, no, but also for anything else. Maybe if you're going to take a certification exam from Azure or GCP or maybe someone else, this things might apply for you. Okay, so one is definitely dissecting the question. All right. So in this case, I'll just talk about in RPG terms, in role-playing games terms. Okay. So whenever we play a role-playing game, di ba? So we have to and techniques to be able to fight a specific boss is to be able to, one is definitely understand what kind of a class yung boss natin. So in this case, dragon, di ba? So we have different dragons. We have ice dragon, we have fire dragon, we have lightning dragon, etc. So, and after that, pag once na-identify mo na yung class, what you do on the game is actually to read a little bit about the lore behind that boss. And the lore states kung ano yung mga strengths, ano yung mga weaknesses, ano yung mga pwede mong gawin, di ba? Now, armed with that knowledge about what is the class of the dragon and what's the lore around it, that's where you're going to equip a proper item and magic, right? And after that, pag okay na kayo, then that's actually where you attack or either hit and run. So ito yung typical technique natin, di ba, whenever we play a role-playing game. So that notion also applies to AWS certifications. Okay, so sa in role-playing games, so what I'm saying is that first you try to understand what is your enemy is. So you identify the class. So in real life, di ba? So what we do is that we identify the pillar first in AWS. So kung familiar kayo sa AWS well-architected document, we actually have 5 pillars, right? So security is actually one of them, reliability, etc. Okay, so whenever you dissect a question, you have to first identify what is the pillar that's actually being talked about on this question, right? Now, next is that on RPG, whenever you play RPG, you try to look at yung class lore, but in real life, whenever it's speaking in AWS terms, that's actually where we try to identify the objective and the context. Okay? So the objective is that ano ba yung goal na gusto ma-achieve ng customer nyo sa question na to. Okay? So whenever you take AWS certification, hindi to enumeration, hindi to memorization. Walang tanong dito na ano yung managed serverless services ng AWS. Then you have to identify kung ano-ano yun. Hindi ganoon yung mga question. Okay? Kadalasan, ang mga questions sa certification is basically based on a real life use case. Right? So, kadalasan ang mga questions dyan is that how the customer should be able to secure their credentials if they're using an EC2 server. Okay? So, maganoong klaseng mga questions. Right? So, that's why you have to identify the objective, the goal of the client or customer, and the context. Context would be some minute details about the objective. Okay? So yung context is that, let's say, for example, they want to be more secure, but at the same time be more cost effective. Okay? So yun yung mga context na yun. And then once you have a knowledge, armed with the knowledge from fighting the boss, is that you equip the proper item and the magic. Okay. Now, pagdating naman sa AWS certification, this is actually where you eliminate and choose answers. All right. So I look at the multiple choice as my choice of items and magic that I have to prepare. Okay. So if you're lucky to remember the class and the lore around the boss, you should be able to choose answers directly. Okay, kung confident ka. Pero sometimes you with the limited memory space that we have in our brains, most of the times I myself, around 60 to 70% of my time whenever I take a certification, I go over to a process of elimination doon sa mga multiple choice, and I also have some techniques around that. All right, and then once you've chosen your answers, so that's actually where you either submit or mark for review. Okay, so explain ko a little bit about what is mark for review, because it is actually one of the most important tools that you will get during your certifications, no? Alright. So explain ko lang muna kung ano yung itsura ng ng mga questions sa AWS certification, no? So typically ang questions sa AWS certification is that mostly multiple choice, di ba? Or multiple response. Multiple choice would meaning isa lang pipiliin mo, or multiple response, you might have to provide multiple choices. Okay? Now, sa multiple choice, meron dito mga similar answers but with variations. So meaning, mapansin mo do sa mga choices mo, similar lang yung text, pero may konting variation, right? So you just have to choose what is the most correct from those answers. Kasi kadalasan ang mga questions dun sa AWS certification, in real life, there's really no wrong answer dun sa choices. Okay? You just have to choose the best answer. Okay? So ganun yung AWS certifications. And sometimes, if you're lucky, may mga questions naman, may mga answers naman na completely different. Na minsan obvious na agad yung tamang answer. Okay? Now, pagdating naman sa multiple response, there's actually a single part answer and a multi-part answer. Okay, so yung single part answer would be mali pala ako dito, no? So maybe a single part answer would be just a single choice, or a multi-part answer would be multiple choices. Okay, so kadalasan it says, okay, may 5 choices ka, choose 3, choose 2. So ganun yung mga itsura ng mga ng mga tanong sa AWS certification, no? And then for sa multi-part answer, so you can just probably pick one or pick more than one. Or just sometimes there will be some 1 or 2 distinct answers. Right? Now, so let's head over to the techniques that I identified. So first is definitely identifying the pillar ng question ng certification. So for you to be able to identify the pillar, you have to really familiarize with the AWS well-architected white paper. All right? So it also applies to all of the AWS certifications. So starting from the practitioner and up to the specialty. Okay? Kasi itong AWS well-architected is basically a set of practices that AWS has learned over the years, and also AWS has learned from their customers. And this actually states all of the best practices that you have to apply whenever you build applications on the cloud. Okay, this applies not just for AWS but also for other cloud providers as well. Okay. Now, yung AWS white paper, this is actually something that you have to read. It's as if this is your Bible. Okay, so don't take any AWS certifications exams without understanding the AWS well-architected white paper. Okay, so well-architected white paper, there's actually 5 main pillars. So as you can see dito sa screen, we have operational excellence, security, reliability, performance efficiency, and
cost optimization. Okay? So these 5 pillars, you have to identify kung ano yung sa question that dun sa may AWS certification question, you have to identify first kung ano yung pillar na sa tingin mo na tinatanong. Okay? And that's actually going to help you narrow your choices. Okay? So definitely, let's say for example, more secure way of storing creds. Then definitely, you have to shift your brain to focus on the security pillar whenever you're answering this question. Okay? Sometimes, may mga questions then that talks to multiple pillars. Sometimes both security and cost. Okay? So, first of thing, you really have to read this white paper. I think this is around 50 pages. You can just freely download on AWS for free. Okay? And then one is identifying the objective and the context. Okay, so pag once na-identify mo na yung pillar, just like I said, so you should be able to further narrow down the choices. Now, pag once identify mo na yung pillar, you have to understand yung nuances or some of the minute details do sa question na yon. That's where the objective and the context. Because itong objective tsaka context will help you on the process of elimination on the multiple choices, right? Now, mapapansin nyo, although ito yung napansin ko whenever I take exams, yung question is composed of 50% pillar, 30% is the objective, and the 20% is the context. Alright? So pag once na-identify mo na yung pillar, 50% naintindihan mo na yung tanong. Pag once nakuha mo na yung objective, most likely 80% you get more understanding about what is the question is telling you. Okay, so the goal is you have to identify these 3 things once you get a question. Right? So pakita ko yung practice, right? So let's say for example, meron tayong isang tanong sa AWS certification, no? So let me just read it out for everyone. So let's say for example, a company is storing an access key containing access key and an ID and secret access key in a text file on a custom AMI. Okay? Yung AMI is basically parang machine image na EC2 instance mo. Okay? So it's some kind of a snapshot that you can use to create multiple copies of your EC2 instances. The company uses the access key to access a DynamoDB table, which is a database, from the instances created from the AMI. Okay? The security team has mandated a more secure solution. All right? So the first step on tackling this, on dissecting this question, is you have to identify the pillar first. Okay? So, nakita niyo pa lang yung mention dito, di ba? A more secure solution. Okay? So, definitely, ang pillar dito na-identify natin. So, if you're familiar with the well-architected tool, so most likely this question was going to tackle that pillar, the security pillar. Okay? Then, let's identify the objective. Ang objective is the security team has mandated a more secure solution. Okay? So, even though na meron tayong access key and secret access key to be able, for the EC2 instance to be able to query a certain database, itong credentials na to, you still have to secure it. Okay? So, if in case that somebody was able to get inside to your EC2 server, they can have a copy of it. Diba? And do a lot of bad stuff. Okay, so that's why this question is actually asking for a more secure solution. Yun ang pinaka-main objective. Okay? Now, ano yung context? Ano yung mga specific details ng ask nila? So, ang context is basically, ang sabi nila, they're using access keys. Tapos nakalagay sa text file, di ba? And that access key is actually being used to access a DynamoDB table. And DynamoDB table is a database that might contain some user credentials, like yung username password ng mga users nyo. So definitely they really have to find a way to make it more secure. Okay? So in summary, the company just wants a more secure way of accessing DynamoDB from EC2. Okay? So once you get a hang of dissecting the question, kadalasan ang mga questions sa AWS certifications, itong pinakita ko example, maiksi pa lang yan ha. But if you're going to take the professional certification, ang mga questions niya mas mahaba, minsan 2 paragraphs pa. Okay? So once you get a technique of identifying the pillar, context, and objective, it's going to it's going to help you dissect the question faster. Okay? Kasi in average, you should be able to answer a question within 5 minutes. Okay? Kasi if you take too much time on a question, mauubusan ka ng oras. Alright? So I think at a minimum yata, right now, if I remember, para mga 60 to 70 minutes yata yung bawat exam. Okay? Okay, so let's say for example, di ba? Na-identify na natin yung pillar. So, kung binasa niyo lang yung well-architected white paper, actually kung maalala niyo, merong actually statement doon sa white paper that talks about securing applications running on EC2 instances. It says here in summary is that you should not store credentials in a text file anymore on EC2. Okay? The ideal practice is that you use IAM roles. Okay? So IAM roles, basically what happens here is that yung credentials hindi na nakastore sa loob ng EC2 server mo, ina-assign mo na lang yan doon sa EC2 instance mismo. Okay? And ang nag-validate na mismo yan is AWS na. Okay? So if in case somebody was able to breach your EC2 server, they won't have an access to the credentials. Okay? So ideally, IAM role na ina-attach mo ron sa instance. This is actually much more secure. Okay? And that's actually one of the biggest suggestions in the security pillar doon sa well-architected white paper. Okay? So, kung naalala if you're lucky enough to remember the write-up on the white paper, then obviously doon pa lang sa may choices, alam mo na I should use IAM role. Okay? So, definitely the answer here is letter D. All right? So, now, this is actually where sometimes you get lucky, sometimes you don't. Kasi we won't be able to remember everything, di ba? So, what happens if ever I forgot that write-up? Or maybe sometimes pagdating sa professional certifications, wala na sa white paper yan eh. This is more on your full understanding on building applications on the cloud. Okay? So, this is actually where you're going to do the process of elimination. Okay? So, now, on the process of elimination, you have to stick to the objectives as much as you can. Okay? So this is actually where you understanding the objectives becomes more critical whenever you do the process of elimination. Okay? So, if you remember, ano ba yung parang pinaka-objective nila? Diba? So, ang pinaka-objective nila is a more secure way of storing the credentials on their EC2 servers to access the DynamoDB table. Okay? So, yun ang objective. You have to make sure that in your mind that yung pinaka-main objective nila whenever you try to eliminate answers. Okay? Now, ang main strategy ko dyan is that when doing a process of elimination, I often shy away from correct but complex answers. Okay? So kadalasan, ang mga choices mo sa certification, technically, lahat ng mga choices doon sometimes, most of the times, ang choices doon sa certification, actually lahat tama. Okay? You just have to find the best answer. Okay? Based doon sa understanding mo doon sa objective. Okay? So, pakita ko muna yung process of elimination. Okay? So, ito pa sinabi ko. So, if you're not lucky to remember, you must exercise a process of elimination and you just have to choose the best answer. Okay? So, what is the best answer? So, one is definitely you have to eliminate the choices that is possible but makes a complex solution. Okay? You can also eliminate choices that are possible but completely defeats the objective. Okay? Sometimes, this choice appears to be correct, pero kung babasahin mo in detail, technically sometimes, defeat yung purpose ng objective. Okay? So, those things you have to eliminate. And sometimes, there are choices that mention a truly unknown AWS service. So, although lately, medyo nawawala na to eh, pero 2 years ago, 1 year ago, sometimes may mga mentions about AWS quantum, something, na wala pa naman talagang ganun. Okay? So, As much as possible, always stick to the objective as you eliminate. So, pakita kung paano yan. So, let's say for example, itong choice letter C. Okay? So, ang choice letter C states that obtain the access key from a key server launched in a private subnet. Okay? So, technically correct din yan. Okay? So, most likely, pwede mong gawin, mag-create ka ng another EC2 server, tapos ang trabaho ng EC2 server na yon, taga-keep ng keys. Okay? Tapos, doon mo i-store yung keys mo to be able to authenticate to the DynamoDB database. Okay? Now, bakit ko eliminate yan? In-eliminate yan? Kasi definitely, that choice is too complex. Kasi that would add another moving part doon sa infrastructure mo. Diba? Instead na isang EC2 server lang, you will have two. Meron ka application server, meron ka pang key server. Okay? And that would mean that you also have to secure this another EC2 server. Okay? So since that is too complex, then I will eliminate that choice. Okay? Now, choice letter A. Ang sabi rin sa choice letter A is to put the access key in an object storage called S3 bucket, diba? And retrieve that access key on boot during the boot of the instance. Okay, so ang mangyayari dyan, pag once na nag-boot up yung EC2 instance, ang gagawin niya, pupulutin ko yung access key ron sa S3 server and store it on the EC2 server. Okay, and then I'll use that to be able to authenticate to the DynamoDB server. Okay. Now, possible din yun, di ba? But the solution is too complex. That would mean that kailangan pa ng isang S3 bucket just to store your credentials, di ba? Which also introduces another moving part. And also, if you try to understand this technique, this is also defeats the security objective. Kasi you need to provision the credentials on the S3 bucket for the EC2 server. Okay? So, if you need to provision, this might imply na dapat ang S3 bucket mo is public. Okay? So, definitely, dapat hindi ka nag-create ng S3 bucket na public. So, definitely, that this is something that defeats the objective. Okay? So, we eliminate that choice. Okay? And then, how about the choice letter B? So, we pass the access key to the instances through instance user data. Okay? Now, for anyone who's not familiar with user data, okay, so you can provide a script for your EC2 server na pag once na nag-launch siya, this script will execute automatically. Okay? So, kadalasan, user data, doon nilalagay yung mga kunyari mga bootstrap. Kunyari kung gusto mag-create ng EC2 server na merong Apache na naka-install, so we can put that on user data na install Apache once the EC2 server starts, right? And I've seen people that even puts credentials during sa user data, okay? Which is actually a no-no, okay? So even though possible naman din to, pero that also completely defeats the security. Kasi kung sino man na may access doon sa EC2 console, they can actually easily see the naked credentials doon sa user data. Clear text yun, okay? So kung sino man kung sino may access sa AWS console, kayang-kaya ko na makopya yung access key and secret. Okay? So now, once you have identified these three, then obviously the answer is letter D. Okay? So that's actually the technique for eliminating choices, right? So as you can see, A, B, C, and D, they technically are correct, but you just have to choose the best answer, which is at this point, this is letter D. Okay? All right, so submitting for mark and review. Okay, so pro tip, I just have to share, no? So sa AWS certification, whenever you're going to book for a certification, you can also apply for plus 30 minutes ESL. Okay, so kung nag-book ka ng certification mo, pwede mo sabihin na English is my second language. Okay? So if English is your second language, ang gagawin ng AWS Proctor dyan, dadagdagan ka ng additional 30 minutes doon sa time mo. Okay? So, if you're possible, if able, try to book your exams using by taking the plus 30 minutes ESL. Okay? So that will give you more time for the exam. Okay? Now, submit for mark or mark for review. So ito yung ginagamit ko laging analogy dyan. So hit and run just like an archer. So typically, the mark for review is the best tool during the exam. Okay? So what I always do is that I don't overburden myself on one question. Okay? As much as possible, I spend at a minimum of 1 to 2 minutes to read the question and try to answer it. Kung hindi ko kayang sagutin after 2 minutes, ang ginagawa ko, minamark ko muna for review. Hindi ko muna sinasagutan. Okay? So, and then move on to the next question. Okay? Kasi, if you're taking too much time doon sa question na yon, definitely you will run out of time. And another one is going to break your groove. Okay? And also going to break your confidence. Okay? So sometimes minsan sa question, sa pagpasok sa certification, di ba? Sa unang question pa lang, oh shit, ang hirap. Paano ko sasagutin to? Matataranta ka na, di ba? So, gawin mo, kung feeling mo na hindi mo pa kaya sagutan, at this point in time, just mark for review and move on. Alright? Okay. So, putting into practice ulit. No? Teka lang, meron pa ako isang tip dito na ba't hindi lumabas? Wala na dito. Okay. Meron pa pala ako isa palang hindi pa pala na-mention, no? So, another pro tip then, if you're going to dissect the question, this might help you, this might be helpful for you or not, no? Pero this is actually quite effective for me. Napansin mo, di ba? Napansin nyo sa question stack ko dito, 50% of the pillar is at the bottom, 30% is in the middle, and the 20% is in the starting part. Okay? So, kadalasan, ang ginagawa ko, I read in reverse instead na pababa. Okay? So, ang ginagawa ko, binabasa ko yung last sentence muna. Then, paakyat. Okay? Bakit? Kasi, doon sa pinaka-last sentence ng question, nandun mo na ma-identify kung ano yung pillar. Okay? And then, the next sentence after the last sentence, doon kadalasan nakalagay yung objective. Okay? Kaya kadalasan ginagawa ko, babasahin ko muna from bottom up para ma-position ko yung mind ko na, okay, this is security and objective nila is more cost efficient. Okay? And then, pag once na-identify ko na yun, that's where I'm going to read from top to bottom naman to be able to get the context, di ba? Kasi mas effective para sa iyo to understand what is the pillar and what is the objective while you're reading the context. Okay? Kasi kadalasan ang context, yan yung mahaba eh, di ba? So, as you can see dito sa example ko, di ba? Kaya nagbabasa ako ng paatras kasi nandito yung pillar, nandito yung objective, di ba? Pag once na-identify ko na yung pillar ng objective, then that's where I read from top to bottom naman. Okay? Kasi mas maganda na may position mo na yung utak mo to the pillar and the objective while you're reading this long text. Okay? And this is going to help you a lot, especially kung professional certification na kinukuha mo. Kasi kadalasan doon sa professional certification, ang haba ng mga question doon. Okay? So kung babasahin mo from top to bottom without understanding ano ba yung pillar na yon, then lalo ka matatagalan. Just try to understand the question. Okay? So that's actually one of the techniques. I just forgot to show that to everyone. Okay? Now, let's put that into practice. So we still have some time. And yung unang question dito, ako muna, 'di ba? Then then for the next few questions, kung sino man yung malakas ng loob that wants to try, so just please raise your hands and then we will unmute you and we'll try to answer the question, okay? Using the techniques that I talked about. Okay? So identify the pillar, identify the objective, and identify the context. Okay? So more example. Okay, putting into practice one. So what I'm going to do here is that I'm going to read from top to bottom. All right? So the last sentence is, what is a reliable and durable solution for solutions architect to implement that will reduce the cost of local storage? Okay? So after reading this, reading this sentence, obviously, ma-identify ko na agad kung ano yung pillar. Okay? Ang pillar dito is definitely cost optimization. Okay? That talks more about how to be able to maximize cost or maximize your budget if you're building applications on the cloud. All right? So yun yung pillar, cost optimization pillar. Now, ano yung objective? Dito pa lang sa last sentence, identify ko na yung objective. Di ba? Ang gusto nila is to be able to have a reliable and durable solutions for a solutions architect to implement a local storage. Okay? So basically, they need to have a way to be able to store data in a very reliable and durable way. Okay? So kadalasan S3 ang kadalasan sagot diyan kasi yan yung parang definitely a go-to service that you can use to be able to store data or objects, right? Okay. So pag mas na-identify ko na yung yung pillar and the objective, then that's where I read the context. Okay? So ang context is the company currently stores data on premises. So meron silang data na naka-store on premise on local drives, di ba? And the CTO wants to reduce the hardware costs by storing data in Amazon S3. Okay, so obviously, mas mura mag-store ng data on Amazon S3 rather than setting up a NAS server. Or NAS server, for students, yun yung kadalasan yung network attached storage or a backup server na binibili ng mga company to be able to store huge amounts of data on premises, no? So it's actually much cheaper to just store it on Amazon S3. Kaya yung customer, yung CTO dito wants to go to Amazon S3. Okay? Now, but ang main concern nila is that gusto nila mag-Amazon S3, nasa cloud yung storage, pero they also want to minimize the latency. Meaning, to minimize latency for the frequently accessed data that should be available locally. Okay? Meaning, gusto nila meron silang naka-backup yung data nila sa S3, but at the same time, gusto nila na merong local storage. Okay? So parang nangyayari, nag-synchronize yung local storage tsaka yung nasa S3. Okay? Para yung mga mga trabahante nila that needs that file, yung local storage ang kakausapin, hindi na S3. Kasi ang main concern kasi nila is that baka ang internet ng mga internet office nila mabagal. Okay? Kaya mas gusto nila ma-access nila yung files nila locally. Alright? Okay, so let's do the process of elimination. 1. Deploy an SFTP client on the local server and transfer data on Amazon S3 using AWS Transfer or SFTP. Okay? So possible to. They can set up an SFTP server locally, and then yung server na yan ang taga-sync ng data into Amazon S3. Okay? Now, I might park that as a potential answer, pero may concern ako sa first option na to. Kasi, ang concern nga nila is cost. Diba? And reliability. Kasi kung mag-set up ako ng SFTP server doon sa on-premise, that will add up, that's going to be another cost. Diba? And also another complexity. Okay? Kasi another point of failure. Kaya ipapark ko muna yan. So most likely potential answer pero medyo may concern ako diyan. Okay? Then another one is to deploy an AWS Storage Gateway Volume Gateway configured in cached volume mode. Okay? Now, yung AWS Storage Gateway is something that you can deploy on premise. Okay? Ang ginagawa niyan, we provide you a virtual machine na ang trabaho noon pag sinet-up mo sa servers mo sa on-premise, kung ano man yung data na nilagay mo doon, isi-synchronize niya sa S3. Okay? So, automatic na yun. So, you don't have to set up an SFTP server anymore. Okay? Now, yung storage gateway, it has two modes. Yung cached mode and stored volume mode. Okay? Ang cached mode, ang mangyayari dyan is that yung frequently accessed data nandun sa may storage gateway na yun. Ibig sabihin, accessible sa on-premise. Okay? So yung frequently accessed. Okay? Pero yung mga files na hindi frequently accessed, wala dyan. Nasa S3. Okay? Just in case that one of the clients ask for a file na wala rin sa storage gateway, Ang gagawin ng storage gateway, download niya yung file from S3 and will make it available doon locally. Yun yung cached volume mode. Okay? So, in that case, I'll park that as a potential answer. Okay? Another one is to deploy a datasync agent on a local server, configure an S3 bucket as the destination. Okay? Now, a datasync agent is very similar to storage gateway. Okay? But a datasync agent is basically for transferring data, not for providing a local storage for your clients. Okay? So since the datasync agent is for file transfer, i-eliminate ko na agad yan. Okay? So tatanggalin ko na yan doon sa choices ko. Another answer naman is deploy an AWS storage gateway, volume gateway, configured in stored volume mode. Okay? Very similar to sa option B. Okay? Now, ano yung pinagkaiba ng cached volume mode sa stored volume mode? Ang stored volume mode, it's the same storage gateway. It will synchronize into S3 and while at the same time providing a local storage for the computers on premise to access with the minimal latency. But ang main difference ng stored volume mode is that lahat ng files mo nandoon. Hindi lang yung frequently accessed file. I mean lahat. Okay? So let's say for example, kung ang storage system ng data center mo is 1 petabyte. Okay? That means if you're going to run volume gateway in stored volume mode, you would need a 1 petabyte storage, which is mahal. Di ba? So yung 1 petabyte storage niyo, mag-synchronize naman siya sa S3. Okay? So technically, ang S3 nagiging backup mo. Now, comparing it to cached volume mode versus a stored volume mode, sino yung obviously na mas mura? Kasi ang na rito, ang objective nila is more cost optimized solution. Then definitely ang the more cost optimized solution is the cached volume mode. All right? So, ang cached volume mode kasi, you don't have to have 1 petabyte of hard disk. Pwede ka siguro mabuhay sa 10 gigabytes lang. Kasi most likely doon sa 1 petabyte na storage mo, baka 10 gigabytes lang yung frequently accessed. Di ba? So, but if ever, if one of the computers ask for a file na wala ron sa storage gateway, bahala naman si storage gateway pumulot ng file doon sa S3 and make it available doon sa local. Okay? Kaya mas mura yon. So, after the process of elimination, so I will eliminate A, D, and C, and D. And the answer is definitely B. Okay? So as you can see, di ba? So, kadalasan ang mga choices dyan is somehow correct. You just have to choose the best answer. This is actually one of the reasons why AWS certifications are challenging and well sought after. Kasi it actually tries your solutioning as well and a full understanding about the details of the services that you have to use. Okay? All right, so since 6:59 na tayo, so I'm just concerned about the time. So I just want to have one person to raise your hands to try to answer this question. So if you're going to answer this question, please identify the pillar first, identify the objective, and tell us the context. Okay? Sino yun? No? Sino yung tribute natin? So kindly raise your hands and then papa-unmute ko kay Danica. Tingnan natin. Man, kay mahiya. And okay lang magkamali. Natin. May nag-raise ba? Danica, may nag-raise ba ng hands to try this second question? Natin na. Mukhang wala Okay. Sige. 3, 2, 1. Tingnan sa chat. Kung may sumasagot. Okay, medyo na Sige, ganito na lang. Kasi medyo we're running out of time, no? So yung putting into practice, I'll just park it na lang kasi I want to have more time for my bonus tips and then a Q&A later, no? Okay. So I'll just move on to bonus tips. So now, if you remember, di ba? So sinabi ko the best tool for the job is the best tool during the exam is the mark for review, di ba? So after getting through all of the questions, then obviously you have to get back I have to revisit the mark for review. Okay? And even, pag once na nasagutan mo na lahat yung mga after nasagutan mo na lahat yung mga sagot and wala ka na mark for review, kung may extra time ka pa, review your answers pa rin. Okay? Kasi sometimes nami-misread mo yung question eh. At some point in time, meron ako mga nasagip na questions dito na apparently, ay okay, na-misread ko pala yung question, dapat ito pala yung tamang sagot. Okay? So, even though natanggal mo na lahat yung mga mark for review mo, if you still have some time, maximize your time and review all of your answers. Okay? Yung AWS certification doesn't reward you by, about the time that you finish. Okay? It doesn't care kung natapos mo agad. Okay? Another tip is scratch paper. All right? So now, if you're going to take the certification exam virtually, scratch paper is not allowed anymore. Okay? But if you're going to take your certification on an examination center like PSI or Pearson VUE, may mga exam centers sila rito, they will provide you a scratch paper and a pencil. Okay? Now, I've noticed that some people doesn't use those, pero I always use it. Kasi sometimes for very wordy questions, it is helpful to have a quick sketch of the architecture being described. Okay? Kasi kadalasan ang haba ng mga question eh. So ginagawa ko habang may binabasa ko, I'm trying to visualize ko yung architecture that the question is talking about. Okay? And that will give you a better understanding about the objective and the context. Alright? And also kung may sketch paper na kayo, I also recommend to write down immediately the formulas and the subnetting guidelines. Okay? Kasi kadalasan yung subnetting tsaka yung pagka-calculate ng read cost, yung RCU tsaka yung WCU pertaining to DynamoDB, may formula kasi yan eh. So, before mo makalimutan, bago ka mag-start pag-exam, isulat mo na agad lahat ng mga formula doon sa sketch paper. Kasi baka possible na kailanganin mo yan as you go to the examination. So before mo makalimutan. Okay? So example dyan, yung mga available IP per CIDR range. So kung /32, ilan yung IP. Kung /24, ilan yung IP na available. So yun, sinusulat ko na yung formula agad niya sa sketch paper bago ka pa makalimutan. Okay? Now, so kung if you're going to take the solutions architect associate or professional, so ito yung mga general AWS services that you have to understand. So you have to have a deep understanding of all of these AWS services and some theoretical understanding from these other services. Okay, so does it mean that kailangan 100% naintindihan mo yan, pero dapat naintindihan mo kung para saan yung service na yun and for what is being used. Okay? And another one is to take practice tests. Okay, so there's actually a lot of providers of practice tests. There's also one from John Bonzo, our fellow Filipino, who actually creates practice tests, right? So kasi ang importance ng practice test is to be able to develop a muscle memory whenever you're going to answer the questions. Okay, so I highly recommend that you take practice exams before you take the actual exam. Okay? And you may also notice that the practice exams are actually much harder than the actual exam. Okay? So kung medyo mababa score mo sa practice exam, don't lose hope. Okay? Practice exams are harder than the actual exams by design. Okay? So huwag kayong mag-alala doon kung medyo mababa score nyo. And also, if you plan to take the other associate exams, make sure you take them in short succession. Okay, so let's say for example, kung plan mo mag-take ng DevOps Developer Associate or SysOps Associate, pag napasa mo na yung Solutions Architect Associate, I highly recommend that you take the next Associate exam maybe after 1 week or 2 weeks. Okay? Ang ginawa ko yung tatlong associates ginawa ko in 1 month. Okay? Now, bakit ko sinasuggest yun? Kasi basically, these 3 associate exams, they actually share questions to each other. Okay? So kung napasa mo na yung associate Solutions Architect Associate exam, you will have a better chance to pass other associate exams. Okay? So while it's fresh on your memory pa, I highly recommend that you take other associate exams already if you plan to. Okay? Because they do share common and similar questions. All right. So with that, that's all of my certifications and tips and tricks. Hopefully, this might be helpful for anyone who's going to take the currently studying for the exam or planning to take for exam. So I'm now open for any questions.
Yeah, thank you so much for that wonderful talk, Mr. Alvin. It will surely help us in our coming certifications. You explained everything so well, and I really love how you added some RPG elements para po mas maintindihan namin. So I think, sir, due to the time constraints, we won't be able to accommodate questions in our live from our audience. So for any questions from the audience, you may comment them in the chat or those in the FB Live, and maybe Sir Alvin will be answering them after the live, like iwan nyo lang dyan. Oh yeah, sir, where can we reach you ba? Like LinkedIn, Facebook?
Yeah. So, wait. Actually, pwede naman sa LinkedIn, pero mahirap akong hanapin sa LinkedIn eh. But what you can do is that you can look for, you can just email me at adelagon@amazon.com. So,
ayun.
Yeah. So if I have some time, so I will try to answer as much as I can. Okay. So yeah, that's actually one way. If somebody posts, nasend ko lang pala sa'yo. Dapat send ko pala for everyone. So ito yung email ko, adelagon@amazon.com. Yeah. So if you have any questions, just email me. I'll also going to check doon sa FB comments maybe tonight or tomorrow. Kung may additional questions doon, I'll try to also comment there. Okay?
Yeah. So drop nyo lang guys yung comments sa FB chat, and Sir Alvin will be answering there. So I have learned a lot from this 1 hour tech-driven webinar. Thank you so much, Sir Alvin. We hope that you learned a lot as well in this episode, guys. So syempre, ang di mawala, I want to take this opportunity to invite you all in the photo op. So open cam naman tayo dyan para makapag-picture tayo with Sir Alvin. Na-inspire ako, sir. Ako, sir, may Python certification ako ng December, and kahit AWS yung, more on AWS focused yung mga certification na tips na tinuro nyo, talagang ma-apply ko siya sa aking certification soon na exam. So, thank you po, Sir Alvin. Ayan, may nag-open cam. Ayun.
Yeah, that actually applies not just for AWS certifications, but also for others as well. Yeah.
Okay, guys, meron na tayo. Wala na bang habol? Sayang naman, pakiting yung mga pogi at magaganda yung mukha. Yung mga mukhang busog na, oh. Ayan, sige. Okay, guys, let's take a picture. 1, 2, 3. Alright, dito nagtatapos ang ating Community Ignite Series Episode 16, AWS Certification Tips and Tricks. So we would like to thank everyone for coming, and your feedback is very much appreciated. So to answer our CSAT form, please go to go.edukasyon.ph/CAS16 feedback. So Sir Alvin, you may now stop your screen sharing para ma-flash din namin ang aming CSAT form. Ayan. So don't forget to double check, guys, kung tama ba yung mga details like full name, mga professions nyo, or yung email nyo. So don't forget to double check all of that para ma-send namin ng smoothly yung certificates. And please, I would like to remind everyone to wait for 3 to 5 business days para ma-process namin yung mga e-certs nyo. So just i-scan nyo lang QR code or go to the link to access our CSAT form. Ayan. So thank you, guys, sa pagsubaybay sa amin, and I'm so excited to see you all next week. So make sure to follow our Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, lahat na. So search nyo lang AWS Club Pilipinas, and don't forget to join. Ayan, sige, yan muna. Ayan, iscan nyo muna yung QR code, you guys. Ayan, sabi ni Acha, yes, don't forget, don't miss the upcoming Community Ignite Series episodes pa. Every Thursday tayo. So just connect with us. And of course, don't forget to join the C-Club community. We have a lot in store for you, like exclusive contents and so much more. Ayan. So, just scan the QR code then. Ayan. And once again, we would like to thank our co-presenters for the whole series, AWS and AWS C-Club Pilipinas. Ayan. Hintayin natin yung yan. So again, thank you so much to our co-presenters, AWS and AWS Club Pilipinas. Ayan. So once again, thank you everyone. Stay safe and I'll see you next week. Bye-bye.
Bye everyone. Stay safe.
Yeah, bye guys.
As a woman, the first time I really knew I could create a great career and life for myself was when I started training for my AWS certification. I knew there was more I could do, more that I was capable of, and a better life to live. It was the same excitement I felt when I moved from my hometown to Johannesburg for the first time. Back then, I transformed my life by becoming the first female AWS developer advocate in Africa. Today, I'm helping others transform their lives too.